Speedway Report is produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for Racers Reunion Radio. Well, NASCAR Modifieds held center stage at the Magic Mile. Playoffs. Don't talk to me about playoffs. And sadly, another top open wheel ace loses his life. We've got all this and more. Welcome to Speedway Report for Monday, September 24th, 2018. From the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina, I'm Patrick Reynolds. Thank you for joining the fastest half hour in racing. Remember, we are, with September 24th, we are only 3 months away from Christmas Eve. I know so many of you appreciate my reminders to get caught up on your shopping. Literally, guys, shopping day is 3 months from today. But we still got some hot weather. Summertime just faded out on us on Saturday night for the first full day of autumn on Sunday. So let's hit up the Speedway Report Victory Lane lap. The last races of summer, the first races of autumn. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Tour raced Saturday night in Richmond, Virginia for 400 laps. Kyle Busch took the win there. The Xfinity cars raced Friday night in Richmond for the support class, and Christopher Bell took another checkered flag. NASCAR's Whelen Modified Tour raced at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire for the Musket 250, and that is the biggest race in the history of the tour. The tour officially, they start counting that in 1985. I know all our Race of Champions friends remember the 300-milers at Pocono, the races at Trenton, New Jersey. That was really before the inception of the tour. Since the touring concept, the Musket 250, the longest race on the tour. Chase Dowling finally takes his first career tour win. A great, exciting finish to that one. We'll talk a little bit more. NASCAR's K&N Pro Series East was also at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Brandon McReynolds won the race there, and I want to talk about a little bit of a dynamic on this tour a little later in the show. Our straight line friends, the NHRA, was in St. Louis as they battle through their countdown. In Top Fuel, Steve Torrence won for the 6th time in 2018. In Funny Car, Robert Hight was your winner. Tanner Gray took down Pro Stock, and Matt Smith the victor in the Pro Stock motorcycle ladder. Jumping to the dirt, the Lucas Oil late models were going to go in Brownstown, Indiana on Saturday night with the Jackson 100. It was rained out until last night. Bobby Pierce passed Jonathan Davenport as the pair headed to the white flag. Pierce held off Davenport on the final lap for the win. Technically, yesterday afternoon, I think the sun was still up, still in daylight when they took the checkered flag there. The World of Outlaw late models faced a similar concept as they finished up a race last night in Dundee, New York. They raced there Friday night. After the heat races, the rain moved in, and it was postponed until last night. So Saturday night, the tour goes to Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania. Chris Madden takes the A main. They go back to Dundee last night, finish up the race program. The 50-lapper was won by Brandon Shepard. The World of Outlaw Sprint Cars kicked off Eldora's 4 Crown Nationals weekend on Friday night. Brett Marks took the A main there. They raced in Sarver, Pennsylvania on Saturday night, where Brad Smeet, our Knoxville Nationals champ, was the winner. And the USAC Tour, the 3 national USAC Tours were the big, kind of the meat in the sandwich of the USAC 4 Crown Nationals with the World of Outlaws on Friday night. On Saturday night, it was USAC headlining the 4 Crown in Rossburg, Ohio at Eldora. Silver Crown taken by C.J. Leary, and Sprints and Midgets doubled up and won by Tyler Courtney. That's an event I got to get to sometime. I talk about these lists all the time here. Definitely the 4 Crown at Eldora. Definitely in the top 5, top 10 of the races I got to get to. Closer to home here in our studios in Hickory, North Carolina, the Southern Modified Racing Series held an event up at one of the oldest and historic NASCAR tracks. Tim Brown took the modified feature there, so guys that did not go up to New Hampshire in the south here still had a place to go. Tip of the hat to Burt Myers, though, as he finally always wanted to run on the mile at New Hampshire. Finally got his first ride up there, finished 3rd, completed the podium at the Musket 250 on Saturday afternoon at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Now, looking back on the week, I'm going to start off with Greg Hodnett. sad story. This sport is dangerous. Yeah, I know that's not a newsbreaker there, but we get roped into, I think, how the safety aspects of the sport and how far we've come, how much we've developed with the containment seats, the cages, the helmets, the Hans, so many devices, what we've learned through the belts, safer barriers, even the tracks themselves, that this sport, we see it so often on TV and in person, more vicious crashes than I saw as a kid. Just these brutal impacts, and guys walk away from these crashes. They unbuckle, they get out of their car, take the helmet off time and time again. Always happen. And last Thursday in York County, Pennsylvania, at the Baps Motor Speedway, Greg Hodnett crashed in turn one wall and never recovered. Came out of that. And it was not a World of Outlaws sanctioned event, even though Hodnett had plenty of wins. I think it was about a 20-time A-Main winner on the World of Outlaws Tour. He won the preliminary night. It was either Wednesday or Thursday of the Knoxville Nationals this year, was the preliminary A-Main winner there, and 5-time champ at Williams Grove, and is leading the points there. So here we are, and I myself am guilty of this, becoming numb, is that, gosh, these cars are so safe. We see it more, I guess, in the NASCAR world and the IndyCar world of these crashes and impacts, and people don't always even, injuries are even kind of rare. I remember, gosh, the first thing that popped into my head right now when I was thinking IndyCar was that pretty bad crash that Sebastian Bourdais took in practice during May of 2017. Suffered some pretty bad injuries, but he came back and found his way back to victory lane. And when you look at the NASCAR world, it's not perfectly safe, but the crashes that take place now, it's just standard for guys to unbuckle and walk away. And here we are in the open wheel dirt car short track world, various types of sprint cars and open wheel cars, we'll call them, and we've lost another one. Jason Johnson died earlier in 2018, and we lost Brian Clausen last summer. 3 stars of their sport. Hodnett, 49 years old, so he's not one of these young guns. He was going to just keep racing his career on the sprint cars and the dirt tracks. Jason Johnson, also not a young guy, but Brian Clausen made a few starts in the Indianapolis 500, was down in the Charlotte area, ran, I believe it was the Nationwide Series at the time, the Xfinity Series, but he's gone as well, and it was in a midget race. And I'm wondering if there's something about this brand of car that we need to look at. The tracks, the cars, I don't know. I'm just raising the question because we've seen these impacts in IndyCar, and the safety aspects have been improved, as well as the big league NASCAR stars. What are we looking at with sprint car racing? This kind of tripped a trigger for me that we went through a stint of this in pavement modified racing when I was a kid, and we lost a lot of guys in a short period of time. I was thinking of Richie Evans and Charlie Drzambek, Corky Cookman, Tommy Drewer, Tony Jakowiak. There was a section where just like in the mid 80s, the late 80s, when it was just one after another, guys were dying. And eventually we took that knowledge and the research, and you were able to build a better mousetrap, build a safer race car, and address the issues. We've seen that in big league NASCAR racing. We saw this with the pavement modifieds when I was a kid. And I'm looking at Hodnett, Johnson, and Clausen, and I'm asking the question, what could be done with the open wheel dirt cars? What are we doing? Is there something being done that I just don't know about? I asked the question. If you guys are connected to me on social media, we're watching live on the Facebook video feed. If you got any thoughts on this, please chime in. I'd love to hear if you have knowledge of what the USAC and the World of Outlaws are doing, if what anybody's doing, if anything. I don't know. Maybe, is it possible nothing needs to be done? This sport is dangerous, always has been dangerous. I want it to be as safe as possible. The only way to be perfectly safe in a race car is to don't get in one. Are we just looking at happenstance with what happened with these guys? There was a rumor circulating, and I'll classify it as a rumor, that Hodnett had no injuries. So maybe there was some kind of a medical condition that happened. They were going to do an autopsy on him. The crash was Thursday. Here we are live on Monday evening on the East Coast. So I'm not sure where we are with that. Don't have any information, anything specific. But I'm wondering if there was a medical condition that was associated with Hodnett's death. It's a shame either way. 3 stars that should still, I wish were still with us, when Clausen, Johnson, and Hodnett. So peace, prayers, rest in peace to all of their families. If you guys know anything or want to chime in, throw in on the Facebook comments as the show goes on here, I would love to hear it. But rest in peace, Greg Hodnett, definition of a racer in every sense of the word. Let's move from that to a much happier situation. The Musket 250 up in the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I am a big proponent of pavement modifieds. Regular viewers of the show know this. I grew up with them. I wave their flag all the time. This was a big event that I'd love to see grow even bigger. And it reminded me a little bit of, I mentioned it before, the Race of Champions that used to happen at Trenton and Pocono. Reminded me maybe a little bit of Super Dirt Week, where the big blocks used to run on the mile at the fairgrounds. Now that they're at Oswego. But that marquee event has faded, and I've been looking for it for a long time on the Whelen Modified Tour. The 80-lap Spring Sizzler, long gone, even though the race remains by name. It's ain't the same. The Thompson 300, gone. The Pentex 200, gone. The Bud 200, gone. The doubleheaders at Martinsville, gone. These were marquee events that just peppered the season, and there were big races at different tracks, and it was just a big deal in so many levels in the Northeast and up and down the East Coast. And we get into this kind of the tour, mod tour, just kind of every week. I get it. We're running 150s and this, and there's, we're running Riverhead, and we run Stafford, and we run Thompson. But they don't pop like they used to. I love them, but they don't pop. That marquee event, I mentioned the Knoxville Nationals for the sprint car. It's that event. The World 100 for the dirt late models. It's almost an event. The Chili Bowl, the Snowball Derby. Where is that for the modifieds? Maybe this Musket 250 at New Hampshire could evolve into that. Some numbers on the race. The lead changed 30 times among 5 different drivers, including 3 times in the final lap, 5 laps. So you're talking, 30 lead changes. I got to do math here. You're talking like every 8 laps or so, roughly. Less than 9 laps, you have a new leader in the race as they dodge back and forth. Sure, there were some guys that led chunks of laps, but you're averaging a new leader about every 8.5 laps. It only had 5 caution flags for 31 of the total 250 laps. The last lap was very exciting. It was a crash. Justin Bonsignor and Ryan Preece got into each other. I should say Preece got into Bonsignor. Justin was leading the race. Ryan stuck it in low. The two of them made contact, and that allowed Chase Dowling to get under. Patrick Emmerling was actually 3rd, and Dowling was 4th. I think Emmerling cracked the throttle or something like that, and Dowling was able to get around him and barely beat him back to the checkered flag. So you had the last lap crash. The guy in 4th coming out of turn 2 winds up winning it. There was a lot of lap money here, and I want to talk, tip of the hat to Kevin Rice of Area Auto Racing News, who helped organize the lap money. He's very humble. He won't take all the credit, and he did have other people helping him, but he was the one I saw really pushing the event on social media. The purse paid $25,000 for first place. Here's some lap money numbers for you. Justin Bonsignor was $7,700. Ryan Preece for $6,500. Chase Dowling for $5,400. Ronnie Silk $4,100. Bobby Santos $1,300. And Rice estimated close to a $33,000 payday for Chase Dowling. I'm hoping this event grows. I looked at the photographs of the stands and the amount of people that were there, and it didn't look bad to me for a modified race. They opened up the entire grandstand. So everything from turn 2 to turn 4, every grandstand was open. So there was lots of empty aluminum, I know, but for a modified race, and when you open up that many stands and you've got people kind of peppered throughout the whole thing, it looked like it was a well-attended event for a modified-only show. There was the Pinty Series was there. The East Series was there. it made for a big day on Saturday, but I'm wondering if we could stretch this out to maybe some racing Friday, racing Saturday. The Cup race was Saturday night. Maybe a good place for the modified race would be Sunday afternoon next year. I thought it was kind of cool. It's the first shot of this. I'm sure the Speedway and all the organizers are looking to tweak this thing, but maybe, just maybe, and hopefully, this Musket 250 could rise up and maybe be that next Thompson 300, the next race of champions. This has a lot of potential. The Speedway put up the money. They put up the purse. The only thing, guys, I'm not a fan of a scheduled break. They had a 5-minute break, lap 100, but we did have some green flag pit stops because they ran the last 150 straight through. Give it up. Let's have this thing go 250 laps. Let's go. Cautions fly where they may. People pit where they may. There's some cost-saving aspects of this where you cannot fuel and change tires on the same pit stop. I get that. Still keep it into play. I don't think you need a break in it at all. If they're all under the same rules and all under the same conditions, we're ready to go. We did it for years with decades ago with all those big races I talked about. Live pit stops in all of them. There was never any planned breaks. I can't stand those. I would like to see that in the Musket 250 in 2019. And yes, I am seriously considering going. Yes, taking a flight up from Charlotte to New Hampshire, but we shall see. It's a year away. In Richmond, Virginia on Saturday night, and I want to talk about the championship here that's shaping up. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Martin Truex Jr. billed as the big three all season long, and for the numbers they put up, Busch and Harvick have won 7 races apiece, so the two of them have seen victory lane 14 times so far this season. This was the first time all year that the big three finished 1, 2, 3 at Richmond. And you cannot watch a broadcast, listen to NASCAR radio, intake any NASCAR media information without all the playoff talk, and I can't stand playoffs. I was reading the results from the East race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That was a support race for the modified. And with a 13th place finish, Tyler Ankrum clinched the East title, and there's still 1 race remaining. He hasn't finished outside the top 10 prior to the race at New Hampshire. Tyler Dipple finished just 1 spot ahead of him at 12th, and Ankrum leads Dipple by 50 points, and the maximum a driver can earn in an event is 48. So Ankrum has clinched the championship with 1 race remaining. I don't mind that. I like that because it tells me that he was a legit champion. He pulled out that lead all year long, and this playoff reset round thing that we've got going in Cup and Xfinity and Truck is just so manufactured and fabricated. We watched Scott Dixon a couple weekends ago clinch the IndyCar championship out in Sonoma, California. I'm good with that. I am really, really good with that. It doesn't have this artificial feel to it and this WWE soap opera. I can't get away from this in NASCAR's 3 Touring Series. Tyler Ankrum, you laid it on the field. You haven't finished outside the top 10 all year. You earned this. It's a legit championship, and I cannot say this enough, that I haven't seen a legitimate Cup championship system since 2003, before we ever saw these playoffs. Every champion from 2004 right up till now, I have been unimpressed with and unexcited about watching this air quote battle right down to the finish at Miami when we have this artificial 4-way tie and playoffs. And I just, it drives me away from the sport so much. I can't stand it. Thank goodness the short tracks. I'm praying that with Ankrum clinching, that NASCAR just does not look into the short track world and start implementing playoffs here too. I like diving into dirt track racing. We talked about results from the late models and the sprint cars. Drag racing, well, they have their countdown to 1, which I can't stand. But, IMSA, IndyCar, Formula One, I'm not even big on double points. I mean, I kind of suffer through those gimmicks, but I don't take it as much as these playoffs where you reset 16 guys or 8 guys and the trucks or 10 guys. Well, I don't even know. I don't care. Playoff points, stage wins. I don't even understand it. I don't understand. I don't know what playoff points are for. I don't know how they work. And I don't mean I don't understand them. Please explain it to me. I mean, I don't understand them. I don't care. Don't explain them to me because I don't care. I don't care. You try to enjoy just a race on a weekend. I can't do it. I can't do it because playoffs are in my face. So I'm looking forward to the East Series. I don't, they're going to run in Dover here in a few weeks. I'm cool with that. Modifieds will be in Stafford this weekend. I'm sure around here we've got some short tracks running. I'm into that, but this playoff stuff, man, I beat this drum since this show went on the air 8 years ago. I can't do it. Artificial crap. I love the short track stuff. I love the East Series where we crowned a legit title. We did it in IndyCar. We do it in so many forms, but this upper echelon national touring NASCAR playoff crap, I can't deal with it. I turn away from it. I am a lost eyeball in the TV ratings. I'm an empty seat in the grandstands. And in the last 8 years, I'm an empty seat in the media center because I don't care. But it really inspires me to attend the Snowball Derby in December for a super late model race. Guys, in between the broadcasts, keep up with the world of auto racing with SpeedwayReport.com. This broadcast and our past shows are uploaded on the site. We've had some tech gremlins lately. I'm working through that. We've got some older archive stuff that is still up. The recent weeks, yeah, I know, we've had some trouble. I'm still working on it and trying to find a workaround for the technical gremlins that have popped in. But you can read a story about Bobby Santos III and his family from the Anderson Speedway. Head on over to SpeedwayReport.com. Check us out on social media, on Facebook at Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds, Racers Reunion. On Twitter, I'm at Speedway Report and at Speedway Pat. And like I said, SpeedwayReport.com. Check me out on Google+, LinkedIn, Facebook, and our Speedway Report YouTube channel. Big thanks to everyone on the Facebook Live feed for joining the conversation during the show tonight. Go see a race at a track near you. If your local track is still running, don't give up. You know how we complain all winter that there's no racing to go to? Well, it's still September. Maybe take a road trip in the fall here and check out some big racing that, is a few hours away, but maybe is well within driving distance for you, and you can go catch. I want to thank all of the military past and present for the freedoms we enjoy as Americans in our daily life, including the simple things like bench racing right here on Mondays. Freedom is not free, and a veteran paid that bill for us. To all of the men and women who are defending freedom and watching Speedway Report, take care of yourselves and come home soon. A special salute to the teachers, school staff, firefighters, police officers, and paramedics in our own communities. They are quiet and modest heroes every single day. God bless and thank you. You have been watching Speedway Report from the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina. Please like our Facebook page, Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds, and please follow me on Twitter. I'm at Speedway Pat. Now, on Facebook right now, when we get off the air, click on over to the Drag Racing List Facebook page. Racing and Rockin' with Draglist.com is coming up next. Barb, John, and Bill have some really cool music tonight, as well as some drag racing talk. We'll be back live here on Facebook in 1 week, Monday, October the 1st, with a look at the Charlotte Roval, Stafford's Fall Final, Rockford's Short Track Nationals, and a whole lot more. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you guys next time.